and breaking the law again. Let's go to Josh in South Carolina. Josh, what is your current State of the Union?
Hey, Road Warrior Owens. Thanks for taking my call. Thanks for your time. Last time we spoke, I gave you my State of the Union, and that is that we are already at World War III, and China is our mortal enemy. I also mentioned and put over the fact that DNA Force brought back, repaired the nerve damage in my fingers, and needless to say, I'll be buying a gross of Cell Force, aka DNA Force Plus, once that runs low. Just like Super Male Vitality, you don't know what you got until it's gone. Also wanted to mention, after a long day out in the sun, my 40-year-old bones ache, and it never fails. I drink a shake with the caveman, and the next morning as I'm drinking my Wake Up America coffee, I feel like a new man. Now, I would be more than remiss if I didn't give this message to President Trump. In fact, my Cuban-born wife would probably cut me off because by the grace of God, 4 years ago, she escaped communist Cuba through Venezuela via the doctor exchange program. But unfortunately, some of her friends weren't as lucky. And when Barack Hussein signed the executive order no longer allowing Cuban dissidents refuge here in the United States, they were trapped up in the mountains of Central America.
Yeah, you know why? That's because Cuban Americans, like you said, they escaped communism, and some of them, there's actually a lot of great doctors that come out of Cuba, and they come to America and they want to have a life. They want to be independent. Getting away from the shackles of communism for them is like a breath of fresh air. It's like having a new ability of independence, and then that sleazy Barack Obama says, nope, you have to be a communist. What? I mean, that is just sick to me. And then here they are, oh, we need to have open borders. We need to let anyone in here. They just had a record number of murders in Mexico, but let's just let anyone in from Mexico. Don't worry about the border down there. But these Cuban dissidents that are trying to flee communism and want to come here legally, nope, shut them down.
And wouldn't it squash a lot of the phony racism talk if he just reversed that order, certainly amongst the Hispanics? And now about presidential assassinations. I've written a series of books titled Out of Time Detectives, first being Conspiracy to Murder, which revisits the conspiracy to assassinate President William McKinley by, I might add, the original Antifa crowd, including Emma Goldman. And then book 2, Trail of the Dead Presidents, begins with the assassination of James Garfield, President James Garfield. And I mention this not to sell books because, thank the Lord, we're doing great. So good that I was able to relocate my family, my business, and all my productivity.
But it's the point that this is real stuff. This is real stuff. There are deep state operators that assassinate presidents. It's happened before, and they want to act like you're some sort of conspiracy theorist for pointing out that we're in that time again. As far as Trump doing something or saying something to get the left not to believe he's a racist, they already hated his State of the Union address before he gave it. So you can never convince these people.
Early on, we told you that Trump was putting a focus on and green lighting, going after pedophile rings. We've seen unlimited arrests going on. We've seen just massive things happening, but then no coverage once it happens. So the press has not been willing to cover it. They'll see hundreds of arrests here, hundreds of arrests there, all these children, all these women freed, and then no coverage after that. So Craig had an idea in the last year. He's now put it into action, tacticalinsider.com, vetsforchildrescue.org. There's a new TV program and film they're developing. Again, Craig Sawyer, should have said Marine veteran, former Navy SEAL, sniper, TV show host, you name it, Fox News analyst. I mean, there's so much to cover in your bio. Competition, Top Shot. So again, firearms expert, what got you into this, and where is the rabbit trail from all your sources led you?
Well, what got me into this, Alex, really was having the network of fellow professionals that could help in situations like this, and just having my heart pounded on after learning the nature of this crisis and what they're doing to the children, these child traffickers, after the Trump election and the increase of the arrests on child traffickers. So I just really could not look away, Alex, and I rallied my resources and connections against it, and that's really what Veterans for Child Rescue is all about. We started off to be an alert service, to alert the populace to the fact that there is a serious crisis of child trafficking inside the continental United States. And then we branched out with that capability to do additional things, extracting the child victims themselves, arresting the perps now, and empowering the children through preventive educational programs, and one that I found to be particularly inspiring that I want to take national if I can get that meeting with Ivanka.
Because you've got a bunch of things in development. I don't want to give out any of the secrets about the show. I mean, describe the little trailer piece we're about to play.
All right, well, this is a quick snapshot of some of the earlier footage of our documentary series. We've started off with a 2-hour feature film documentary that's going to get at least 50 million viewers, probably 100 million viewers or more. So we're excited about it, and it's an entire effort to alert the populace, show them what the mainstream news media apparently refuses to tell the people. And it's really, Alex, it's a story of me going around the country, dealing with the perpetrators, the victims, the witnesses, law enforcement, and finding out what really is going on with this. And it's a story of my journey of learning and alerting the American people. So this is a quick snapshot of the early parts of it.
So again, here's a short director's cut version. The documentary trailer, the working title is Contraland, refers to children now sadly becoming another commodity, contraband on the black market, as he just said. We've been tweeting that at Ivanka Trump, Tucker Carlson, and Sean Hannity and others to get them start covering it so the whole dam will break. We're going to retweet that right now on Real Alex Jones. So here is a little snippet.
What kind of demand for child sex justifies the number 2 million child sex slaves?
Everybody has access to your kids like they've never had access to your kids before.
The highest child rape consumption country in the world is right here in the United States.
Infowars.com/show.
President Trump set to give his first State of the Union tonight. It is sure to be epic. Infowars.com/show will have live coverage all through the night. Myself, Rob Dew, Alex Jones, Millie Weaver, Darren McBreen, all the crew here. Of course, commercial-free, interruption-free during the State of the Union. Then we'll take your calls afterwards. So, and we're also going to be covering Mad Maxine's rebuttal to the State of the Union. She's going to tell you how tax cuts are bad, how you having more money is bad, how more jobs coming to America is bad, how manufacturing in America is bad. I guess that will be her rebuttal. But now you've got Joe Kennedy, a Democrat from Massachusetts, will also be delivering a Democrat response to President Trump's State of the Union. And this is ironic. They just announced this, and they say that Joe Kennedy is a relentless fighter for working Americans. Really? How many record stock markets has Joe Kennedy produced? How many jobs growth has Joe Kennedy produced? Manufacturing back? Anything? GDP? Bueller? Kennedy? No. Now, he is the grandson of Robert Kennedy and the great-nephew of John F. Kennedy, who were both assassinated. Now he's fighting President Trump, who the deep state is trying to assassinate. And Nancy Pelosi says, while President Trump has consistently broken his promises to the middle class, he keeps filling his promises to the middle class, Nancy Pelosi, you liar. Congressman Kennedy profoundly understands the challenges facing hardworking men and women across the country. Really? Because I would reason to say that 80%, if not 90% of men and women across the country have never heard of Joe Kennedy because he's never done anything for them, while 90%, if not 100% of Americans have heard of Donald Trump, and most of them in the middle class and in middle America have benefited from Trump's presidency. So that'll be nice. Again, just let the Democrats hang themselves, embarrass themselves politically, destroy themselves politically, as President Trump just continues to deliver, continues to drain the swamp, continues to expose the corrupt politicians, and continues to deliver for the American economy. We are waiting to hear from Alex Jones. Alex Jones about to break in with us with some breaking analysis of everything that's about to happen tonight, including the State of the Union, including the current status of the Nunes memo. But again, the lead story on Drudge right now, oh, he just changed it. He just changed it. You had the lead story on Drudge was a Washington Post story. He just changed it, guys. But the lead story on Drudge used to be this Washington Post story. It's basically saying that McCabe, here it is, Internal Justice Department probe eyes McCabe's role in final weeks of 2016 election. This is another example of InfoWars news next year. InfoWars is next year's news today. Excuse me. We told you about all of Hillary Clinton's nefarious activity, deleting the emails, smashing the servers, and then she had no idea, and then she got written off by McCabe and Comey of the FBI before the investigation ever took place. We already told you all this. We already reported all this because we have the guts, the courage, and the brawn to do it. The Washington Post waits a year and a half until McCabe steps down before they report on this story. That's why the Washington Post is fake news and Infowars.com is the tip of the spear. And that is what we will continue to be as long as you continue to support us at InfoWarsStore.com. So we've been taking your calls, hearing from the audience. What is your current state of the union? Guys, should I go to another caller? Okay, let's go to Steve calling in from Pittsburgh. Steve, what is your current state of the union?
Hey, Owen, nice to talk to you again. We talked last week there, and I tell you, I want to say congratulations to your first caller there, the guy from Boston. This is what we were talking about last week, about these companies knowing where you know, they're going to pass on all this money to the guys out there doing the work. So I want to say congratulations to him. It's nice to hear that other people are getting involved, you know, getting the benefits from all this.
You know what, Steve? I'm sorry to cut you off. You were the caller that called in about, you're the steel worker, right? 6'7".
Yes, sir.
You had an amazing story. It was such a great story. I had to put it out as a whole segment. And this is what we were talking about last week. It's like, what are they going to do to the Steves of America, to the Joshes of America, who have actually firsthand benefited in the first year of Trump's presidency? More job opportunities, wage growths, bonuses. And then these Democrats are going to come out here and they're going to lie to you, and they're going to tell you that's not happening. They're going to tell you the economy's not booming. They're going to tell you Trump had nothing to do with it. I mean, it's just like spitting in your face. It's just like the protesters that spit in our face when we go to these marches. That's the Democrats spitting in your face, pretending like you don't exist and that whatever benefits you think you're getting aren't real.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, you're right. This is exactly what we were talking about last week. And I was so happy to see that the first caller, I mean, this is another guy that's benefiting from the same thing that I'm benefiting from. And, you know, you want to talk about democratic lies, okay? I'm looking out my window right now of lake effect snow. You know, you want to talk about global warming. I hope the president touches on that stuff, you know. We're having regular Pittsburgh weather here. It was 7 degrees at 0 dark 100 this morning when I was going into the mill. You know, it's regular Pittsburgh weather. And they'll sit there and they'll try to lie to you about how we're all, you know, going to be burning up around here. And really another thing I hope he touches on tonight is infrastructure, because he campaigned on it. And I remember maybe 2009, 2010, a big infrastructure package that our previous president put out there, where they were going to rebuild 14,000 miles worth of highways and railways and everything else. and the bulk of that money ended up going to tree hugger organizations, and we didn't see it on the bridges in Pittsburgh. I'm sure those guys didn't see it on bridges in Boston either, you know?
Don't even get me started on the status of our roads, Steve. I can't drive a mile in Austin, Texas without going through 3 potholes that are about a foot deep. It's absurd. But we got plenty of money for non-citizens here. You know, we want to be a sanctuary city. That's Austin, Texas for you. You know what, Steve? Maybe tonight the Steel City gets a shout-out. Wouldn't that be something special for Pittsburgh?
Hey, I hope so. But you know what? For me, I just want to shout out for America, man. We've waited so long just to have somebody in there that's on our side. And I don't care who you are, where you come from. I'm just happy that we got somebody in the White House that's on our side. And I'm gonna tell you, you were you were showing these clips of Nancy Pelosi earlier. You know, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Nancy Pelosi, I like seeing them on TV because you know what? Every time I watch them, I feel a little bit smarter. And and I'm gonna tell you, Chuck Schumer, because I don't want to sound chauvinist, or anything like that, but Chuck Schumer, he's in the same boat, man. And you know what? So many people are they're just awake now, And we talked about this before, and I'm just so happy. And I look forward to the State of the Union address tonight. And I think it doesn't matter what these people they're going to have their little rebuttals or their fake little State of the Union addresses. It doesn't matter because it's not true. And so many people are waking up to that. And
nobody buys it anymore. Just like the Hollywood one, nobody watched. Just like the Grammys, nobody cares, nobody watches. Exactly, Steve. Thank you so much for the call. And then he talks about the global warming aspect, and he talks about how they're having normal winter weather in Pittsburgh. Yeah, they're having normal winter weather on the northeast coast, and then what do? They call it a cyclone bomb. It's normal winter, and this is destroying our man-made global warming argument, so what are we going to do? I know, let's call it a cyclone bomb. But it's just normal weather. But it's a cyclone bomb. So I don't know if Trump will address global warming, but we got Alex Jones coming up on the other side of this break, folks. We're going to talk about what we expect in the State of the Union, what it means that this is on the day after they vote to release the memo, and all of this is going on. Now you've got the Democrats posing fake State of the Union addresses. You've got the Democrats making fake memos, just like you had them writing fake books, just like you had them make up the fake Trump-Russia dossier. So they're doubling down. They're going full-out panic. What does it all mean? What is the Democrats' next move? Are they going to continue to stab themselves in the neck politically? Or are they going to back off and let Trump save America? We hear from Alex Jones on the other side. This is President Trump's first State of the Union tonight. Infowars.com/show gives you the live coverage.
I set out with top researchers, top scientists, top developers, with the biggest organic producer in the country to come out with Immune Wall because it's backed by clinical studies. The compounds that are in it are the latest modern patented technology that we can even make claims on. But then it's got all the ancient herbs that line up their compounds with it that our ancestors knew worked. So let me just briefly tell you that historic story and invite you to get your Immune Wall for your husband, your wife, your children, your neighbors today, all those you love, because you can support your own body, build a greater wall, a greater defense against viruses, bacteria, outside microbes, boost your immune system, and boost humanity's immune system to build basic societies of liberty and freedom. Because I'm not into magic or the occult, but a lot of the stuff the Hermetic people admire Putin. He's strong. He's built his country back up. He's kicked out the foreign controllers, and he's bringing back some prosperity. I want to be like that and bigger. He saw Putin, even mainstream media had said, going back 2 years ago, is the world leader, the most respected, the most powerful, even though his country's been run down, because he actually stands for something. And Trump said, imagine if America does that. Imagine, and then now it's like Trump shows up, and everyone's just like, doesn't even know what to do. And they're so scared of him getting with Putin. Because you look at World War II and the natural alliances, and we're fighting Juncker, the heir to the Nazis. It's the same crap over and over again. But this time, the globalists aren't going to have Italy on their side for their world domination move. And that's my summation, talking to Leo Zagami, getting into all the geopolitical stuff. And we had dinner a couple times, 2-hour dinners. All he talked about was Berlusconi, explaining how they persecuted him, how they claim he abused women. It's the same thing they've done here with Trump. How do you see this going? Did I say anything wrong? Is that accurate what I said? And then where do you see this nationalist movement that's exploding going?
Well, definitely there is a big sovereignty movement, a movement for the sovereignty of the state. You can call it nationalist, but I will call it for the return to the sovereignty, because Italy has lost the sovereignty to a European Union full of bureaucrats who are not
But
elected.
it's only Italy with its own boats blocking Soros, bringing in thousands of Africans a day. I mean, it's like Italy finally woke up, or is that wrong?
Absolutely, but now we face a big problem, because if Angela Merkel and Macron have indeed in some way found some kind of compromise, then things will be very bad for Italy now. We face a big problem with Donald Trump in the US being so protectionist. Italy will lose $40 billion out of the Made in Italy. But it is Italy's fault. So Berlusconi indeed could be a change, a positive change. The problem is that he's, of course, blackmailable. He still has a lot of skeletons in the closet that they want to use against him. You remember how they easily kicked him out a few years back. So we need to see if Berlusconi is stable enough. The fact that now Juncker has received them in the European Union a few days ago, of course, changed things, because it demonstrates that there is some kind of deal going on. And this deal goes, of course, through, it's also the fact that in Europe at the moment, we have Poland, we have Hungary, who are really breaking off from the George Soros European-led union.
Sure, he's at the heart of it. He brags about it. So let me ask you this. How are Italians from 2 years ago, where innkeepers had all their guests thrown out and African migrants are put into it? Since then, I mean, did that wake Italy up, or where is Italy politically? Because I know last year that you voted twice to say no to EU expansion and EU army.
Sure. Well, as you know, I was a candidate with Berlusconi in the last elections. I'm not a candidate in these elections, because I think that unfortunately these elections will be in a way manipulated. So in the end, we will be forced with another
Sure, you ran for the Senate and you were in the lead, and then tell folks the story. You said there were pedophiles in the government and in the Vatican. It all came out months later. You were even arrested and put in a mental institution for 2 days.
Well, of course, if you go against these people, you pay for the consequences. At that time, Matteo
so that's how
Renzi,
but again, that's how they knocked you out of the lead. Explain that, because that was in the newspapers. I mean, they literally put you in a mental ward so you go down in the polls.
Well, absolutely. I mean, once you are put in a mental ward, you are not credible anymore. So that's it. They burnt me politically. They wanted to make sure that my revolution, what I was trying to do with the pitchfork revolution, will not have any more consequences for Italy. And the consequences were already heavy, because we managed to block the whole of Italy for a couple of months with strikes and so on. Now we have these elections on the 4th, and I tell you, for the first time, Alex, I don't really want to vote, because I don't see myself represented in any way. I think that Berlusconi, unfortunately, will be forced to compromise, though he is the only one at the moment with the Northern League to fight Soros. I have information by a journalist called Parisi that George Soros has infiltrated Berlusconi's party, and basically there is some politicians in the center-right coalition with Berlusconi that are already on the payroll of George Soros.
Well, I have to tell you, it's very hard to fight Soros, because he's got hundreds of billions more than they say he's got. As this main globalist, a literal James Bond villain. We personally have confirmed, it's going to be coming out very, very soon, the documents, everything, that just like they promised to infiltrate every conservative organization through Media Matters that he funds, that we had George Soros penetration. We stopped it. We recognized it. We didn't know what it was and stopped it, but we were able to get the witnesses and the documents. So we even got penetrated. None of our core areas, but I mean, this guy means business.
Well, Open Society now is opposing openly the newcomers of these elections in Italy, which are regarded as the most dangerous. It's not Berlusconi, but it is Casa Pound. I know Casa Pound very well. They are a party which is very right-wing, far-right, if you want to describe it in that way. They seem to be very successful with people. And so now Soros is openly fighting them by doing articles on his newspapers, paying journalists to discredit them on magazines like Marie Claire and things like this. So there is an open war at the moment with this Open Society against this group called Casa Pound, which is a bit like the Golden Dawn in Greece.
And that's not associated with the Golden Dawn of Aleister Crowley, is it?
No, of course, no. But you remember in Greece there was a right-wing party which rised in the last election, in the last two elections in Greece, and was quite successful. Then they were actually some of them were killed, other of them were persecuted.
Oh,
and
I remember.
The whole party in the end dissolved.
I remember. So we're going to break. We're going to come back, and I'm going to let you get into whatever you want to cover. You got a lot of topics. Historically, in 60 seconds, what point are we at right now? What point are we historically right now?
Well, we are moving towards a situation of contrast between the US and the EU if, of course, Trump is doing his own interest and he's doing a great job. But here in the EU, we are in enemy territory. We are in the hands of the mondialists. And it seems very difficult that we away from it. It's been easy for you in America because you still have the sovereignty and the strong will of Donald J. Trump to fight this war. In Europe, we don't have leaders that are strong. I like Silvio Berlusconi, but the fact that he's 10 years older than Donald J. Trump doesn't make it easy when you have to fight a war like this. You need a lot of energy.
Let's talk about the will of Donald Trump from Italy. Get a really smart journalist take, Leo Zagami, on the other side of this break. And, of course, Leo, it is a fact. I checked into it. It's in some of the biggest secret societies there are, but a good guy. 8 o'clock Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll take Trump's first State of the Union live, broadcasting worldwide. But we're going to have continued coverage right through this next hour with Paul Watson about to take over from London, England, with an amazing job he does. Wow. And then into the next 3 hours with the War Room, and then we're going to have an hour of breakdown and analysis with some of the crew, and then right through midnight tonight, we'll have hours of phone calls, excerpts of the speech, so much more. I intellectually follow my own research, but I've learned to go with my gut, and my gut tells me they're going to strike back. We've got to ask ourselves, how are they going to do it? We'll talk about Trump's will. But Trump on air, but in person many times, has told me, and of course over the phone, call that in person, that I am committed to America, and I'm committed to sovereignty, and I'm committed to Christians to have their rights, and for due process, and to not have America be singled out and set up for destruction. And Alex, I need you to continue doing what you're doing and pressing the attack. I need you to take action. You know, I'm trolling the media there because he's told me that probably 5 times, 6 times. But they never pick it up because they don't want to quote Trump saying, press the attack. That means you're already in the attack. But even though you may get a lot of losses, that's what press the attack means. Give it all you got like it's the final battle of your life. That's what press the attack means. And I'm pressing the attack because Trump's pressing the attack. And he's leading from the front. We haven't seen that in hundreds of years, a general, a president, you name it, that since George Washington, that leads from the front of the troops. And you're seeing it with President Trump right now, and you're seeing the economy and everything come back because we were artificially being robbed. We're going to go back to Leo Zagami. Everybody should get his book, particularly from his own website, so that you're not giving money to Amazon. But if you got to get it there, get it one way or the other. You need to read it, especially if you're a Catholic. Got so many great Catholic friends. I judge a tree by its fruits. The average Catholic I know is such a great person. Problem, like, you know, so many people like Mel Gibson, you name it, his dad, Hutton, all of them have been on the show before, obviously, Hutton. But how did this evil totally take it over? How did it do that? We'll talk to Leo Guzami in a minute. Now, before I go there, this all happened the last 2 weeks. And then I was sitting there talking to our marketing folks, and it's really, I'm the marketing guy, but they put up on the shopping cart, InfoWarsStore.com, how to explain this. And they just said, why don't you just sell it out and not explain it and then just come out with DNA Force Plus? And I said, you know, but I don't want to tell them this is really awesome and then discontinue it when it's going to be DNA Force Plus. So I'm going to try to explain this as best I can. They have known compounds like bio-PQQ and CoQ10 and the other incredible ingredients that are in this at very high levels and very strong, organically produced levels where you actually get absorption, not the synthetic crap. The clinics sell this for $300 to $400, and it has less of what's in DNA Force than we sell. I saw that and said, let me just mark it up 80%, undercut the whole market and take over. And under operation. I did that. But then listeners are like, listen, it's $150 retail. You sell it for $99.95. It's awesome. That's $50, $60 a bottle. It's not even funding us. So I kept looking with top firms in the country, and I scaled up where if I ordered enough of it, I would get it where I could get it for like, you know, $30 and then sell it for $80 and be able to fund the operation. Most places will give you some synthetic stuff that costs them $5 and sell it for $50. The average just CoQ10 is like $50 or bio-PQQ is like $60 for just a little bitty bottle of crap that's not even real, basically. It's synthetic. We have the real stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. And so let me explain how this works. We got, I've already lost my bottle, and I got to go back to my guest. I apologize. I've already lost my bottle here of Cell Force. We can put it on screen. We got 10,000 bottles of Cell Force. That's weird. It was just in here. We had 10,000 bottles of Cell Force. And then listeners are like, but it sounds like DNA Force, and it's got the same ingredients, just more of it. What is the point? We want DNA Force. It is DNA Force. So Group is so cool about this. He goes, listen, I'm mainly a developer. I do have a big factories and things I've built. I supply a lot of your stuff. You got a great deal on this. It is a great formula. It is the DNA Force Plus we were talking about, with even more of the ingredient and lowering the price some. But this is so beyond what I can even do with the deal you've struck. Just take it away from me and you put it out. That's how classy he is. So Cell Force will go under the name DNA Force Plus when this is sold out. This is DNA Force Plus, more of all the key ingredients at a lower price, InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. So if you want DNA Force, that's the plus, at the lowest price, it's Cell Force right now at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com. And again, the Cell Force bottle they've got right there says promotes cellular energy production, supports optimal mental health, supports cardiovascular health. They even let you say that. There's hundreds and hundreds of studies on this. Ladies and gentlemen, the leading competitors, the lowest is $200, and it's not even as good, okay? Little bitty bottles, little bitty caplets with a tenth of the stuff that isn't even real, it's synthetic, is $50. At $70 right now, it's because I want you to be blown away by how amazing it is. You, your family, your children, everybody needs this. It's amazing. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. We've got like 4,000 bottles left that'll sell out probably in a couple of weeks at this price or even quicker. When it's gone, it's going to now be called DNA Force Plus. But that's how this happened. And Group was so classy. He looked at it, he looked at the documents, looked at the test. He said, yeah, you got a better deal than I can even do. Wow. Okay, well, you just manufacture it. And I said, man, this is one of your biggest. The guy's just unbelievable. That's why and he's so busy on 5 new products that he's developing for us. So the guy is just total class. So we did this so that we wouldn't infringe on a product we had with him. He just said, this is so good, just call it DNA Force Plus. This is what we were even planning to do. It's just incredible. InfoWarsStore.com, that's how you fund us. All right, Leo Zagami, you got 5 minutes, 4 minutes here, 5 minutes next segment. So honored to have you. Cover any subject you want now, big topics, what's happening at the Vatican, what's happening worldwide, people need to know.
Well, first of all, Cardinal Pell. We left him a few months ago that he's waiting for the trial, and now some new things have happened. This guy called Damien Dignan died at the beginning of January. He was one of the main people who was testifying against Cardinal Pell, saying, of course, stating that he was raped. He died, and this means that maybe now Cardinal Pell could be even acquitted of this whole thing, which is incredible. They're really working the Vatican, also with a writer who has made a book on Cardinal Pell, in order to testify and that this cardinal is not really the monster that is being depicted worldwide. So Cardinal Pell is still behind the scenes trying to rebuild his image and probably in some way getting out of this trial that is being.
Well, I was about to say, he reportedly has been arrested trafficking over 100 children and this whole network, basically the deputy pope. How does he get out of this? Because I noticed it was in the news but never covered again.
I know, it seems incredible, Alex, but the most incredible thing is that they have used as a subpoena this book that was made by an investigative journalist called Louis Milligan, that basically testifies, brings in people who gives their opinion about the whole thing. And I don't know, they are trying to turn it in a way that Cardinal Pell will be a good guy in a few months. They can't let Cardinal Pell be arrested because Cardinal Pell is the treasurer of the Vatican and he is really the holder to the main.
So let's be clear, they use pedophilia to take over, the globalist. Now they're going to protect the people that helped infiltrate and reportedly do it. So now that's why the leftist media is saying it's no big deal that this new pope is covering it up.
Well, this new pope, when he went in South America, he was attacked because he's protecting a pedophile who escaped from South America to Europe and is now residing in a convent in Italy. And when he arrived in Peru, he had to defend the bishop there, who himself had covered up for this pedophilia priest, who is also a very important priest because he's the founder of an organization called Sodalitium Christiane Vitae. And because he's so powerful, he's a little bit like Father Marcello in the Legionaries of Christ. They want to protect him, so they put him in this convent in Italy, and they're neglecting this tradition to Peru. So the Pope is literally protecting pedophiles right in the open, without any shame. Of course, he's been attacked by Sean P. O'Malley, Cardinal Sean P. O'Malley, because of the words he said in defense, stating that nobody had the evidence, while he said there's plenty of evidence. And at that point, even the Pope had to apologize. So Pope Francis, in the last week, Alex, has not said one word, because he has made what they call in Italy a brutta figura in front of the world while he was in South America, protecting the pedophile that they're trying to protect, which is this guy who is this priest called Mr. Figari. So, I mean, I think that Luis Fernando Figari, who is himself a Peruvian Catholic priest, should be arrested immediately here in Italy, wherever he is. Instead, he's protected by the Vatican. The Vatican is now protecting their own interests because I have calculated...
Stay there. Back in 2 minutes with Leo Zagami. Stay with us. This is Critical Intel. Leo Zagami, investigative journalist, best-selling author, friends with Berlusconi, joins us, and he's saying Berlusconi has been infiltrated by Soros. He's not saying he's a bad guy. He just doesn't think in 80-plus years he's got the energy to fight this thing off. But you were getting into Trump's will. From your deep analysis and your sources and Interpol and the Italian government and the EU, I mean, you know, you used to brag about it 10 years ago when you had some connections. I know you've got them now from people I've talked to. What is the word on Trump? I mean, give us your real analysis. From what I've seen, he wants to be the turnaround guy for America and the world. He sees the wave of nationalism coming in. It's not that he's perfect. He's just not a Satanist out to hurt average people. He's not a jerk.
The main enemy of Donald J. Trump in this moment of time is the British royal family, together with Pope Francis. The British royal family is actively working with MI6 worldwide to destabilize the interest of Donald J. Trump and oppose them. In Europe, basically, they want to only see his impeachment. And so Donald J. Trump has to really be aware, because the Queen of England is after him. And you heard the words of the future wife of Prince Harry against Donald J. Trump. These people...
But let's
really
explain. These folks really aren't even British. They represent the larger Rothschild cabal, right?
The funny thing is, Alex, that I am actually related to the Queen, and this is a matter of fact, unfortunately. And my mother is part of the problem. Often I tell her she's with the enemy. I make a joke out of it, but it's true, because she's also responsible for the expats here in Italy. But there is a big problem, really, with the manipulation of power, even in the rest of Europe, made by the Great Britain, which Great Britain, in the meantime, has made the Brexit, and they are seeing the positive results of the Brexit, because Brexit is giving positive results, though of course they can't be promoted, these positive results, because otherwise the rest of Europe will fall apart. I think that these future elections here in Italy, but also across Europe, the next elections will see the increase of parties that are so-called populists that want to return to the sovereignty. But a lot of countries here in Europe are searching for inspiration by Donald J. Trump. They are inspired by Donald J. Trump. Really,
that was my next point. Nationalism is winning everywhere. How are they going to try to hold the line against nationalism?
Listen, Alex, the crazy thing is that if you go in the street here in Italy, everybody wants an Italian Donald J. Trump. The problem is we don't have him. And because every millionaire, billionaire in Italy has brought their money abroad, and they're not willing to risk as much as Berlusconi risked 20 years ago. And when he went inside the political arena...
So you're saying Berlusconi, even the media admits, was the prototype of this nationalism and the rebirth of populism. The problem is you just don't think he has the will.